is going on? No horsing around, family. Zach Boyd back at it again here on another Wednesday live stream, guys. Just wanted to have a chance to kind of recap and go over every single thing that's happened this week. It's been a big 24-hour cycle. Obviously, we went down to the 53-man roster, waiver claims. People were off, and then they were back on. Players getting put on IR. Continuing with Jonathan Taylor on PUP. All of these things and so many more just topics. Chris Ballard had the press conference today. Obviously, one of the big key components of that press conference was really and truly was just his approach and how he's going to handle, Jonathan Taylor moving forward. And I think that's one of the big things for us is we all wanted to know what had happened with that as far as how that went. Hey, thank you so much for hopping in. First in today. Thank you so much. Feel free to hit us up with questions, things that you like, things that you don't like. 53-man roster. I mean, we're a complete roster at this point. At one point today, we were all the way down to 3 wide receivers. Makes a lot of sense. We switched over from Jelani Woods going to IR, immediately signed back. Isaiah McKenzie. I don't know. I mean, we're pretty thin at wide receiver. We still only have 4 at that position. With that being said, I mean, I would think at some point either one of these, practice squad guys will be moved back up to the final 53, or maybe we go out and we do sign a veteran, bring another body in there, and just see what you're going to go. 4 is awful thin when you're talking about wide receivers. So it should be fascinating to see how they're going to handle that. Now, as far as the Jonathan Taylor saga, obviously, when you're dealing with Jonathan Taylor, it's been a slippery slope. And, guys, it's been a real roller coaster this whole offseason. And I guess Chris Ballard tried to do his best to lay it out. He said he hated it for his fans. He hated it for the team. He hated it for Jonathan Taylor. And one thing about Chris Ballard is he's always going to say the right things. He's really, really does a good job in those press conferences, but not always has he backed up the words that he says in those press conferences. So you got to be a little bit careful of what to expect from Chris Ballard. When it comes to Jonathan Taylor, no trade happened. There's never been a legitimate report that Jonathan Taylor actually had an actual offer on the table. These were just internal discussions. These were just real preliminary discussions, really. Calling and checking, doing your diligence, seeing what you think. Now, that being said, Jonathan Taylor could be traded right now. He could be traded tomorrow at any point. There's no real deadline. I mean, I know the deadline for PUP was of course, yesterday at 4:00. But he could be traded at any time. Now, I don't expect that to happen. If you listen to what Chris Ballard said and you take him for his word, he seems pretty adamant in trying to repair this relationship and figure out a way to have Jonathan Taylor, A, come back and play football for this team, B, I think he'd like to sign him to a long-term deal. I think it's more about seeing him on the field, seeing how he fits in this Shane Steichen offense, as well as, finding a way to be – he's got to be healthy, man. I think that's one of the big key components into all of this. What do we have with Jonathan Taylor here, man? I mean, do we have a guy who's got this ankle issue now since January? I mean, we're 8, almost 9 months in on this, and we still don't know any more about this ankle issue. And my gosh, man, think about the ankle issues that we've had under the Chris Ballard regime, with Andrew Luck. Quentin Nelson had an issue a few years back. Obviously, Carson Wentz had some ankle issues. Jonathan Taylor has an ankle issue. There was an ankle issue with Shaq Leonard. Man, I mean, when it comes to these doctors, I probably as a fan have lost confidence in some of these doctors. Nomad, thanks for hopping in here. Let's see what you say. I hope JT can still run. Man, Nomad, I don't know. I mean, how long is the ankle injury going to happen? I know was some kind of conflicting reports. Mike Chappell, who's really plugged in, been around forever here in the Indy market, had a report saying the Colts are kind of fearing it's more of a hold in than a hold out. And there's some inside of the Colts camp and in Colts circles that feel like that Jonathan Taylor's not actually as injured as he's leading on to be. And it's more of a stance that he doesn't want to play without the new contract. I don't know. I mean, you guys tell me what you think. Do you think that he's really dealing with some sort of severe injury? Do you think Jonathan Taylor is faking it? Where are you at? What side are you guys on as far as just exactly where we are in the middle of this Jonathan Taylor saga that seems like it's probably never going to, it just feels like it's never going to end, and when you're dealing with a high profile player, these questions aren't going to go away. Unfortunately, they're going to be questions that are going to be asked. They're questions that have to be asked. That being said, I'm not so certain either that, I'm not so certain that Jonathan Taylor has any choice. I think after these first 4 games, he's going to have to find a way to get back on the football field because he's losing value every single game that he misses. He wants that big contract. He wants to get paid. The only way to get paid is to be back on the field, man. I mean, I don't know of any other way. You guys let me know. What do you think? How does he get paid? Who does he get paid by? Does he get traded? Does he stay? Do the Colts end up re-signing him? There's so many different things here. Let's see. Question right now. What's your evaluation of Ballard's press conference? Another Colts stream, Bring the Juice, has it live now. What do you see best and worst decisions made? Any chance they re-sign the cuts? Already have re-signed McKenzie. So that was just kind of a formality move. They had to cut him, and then they instantly re-signed him once they reverted Jelani Woods onto short-term IR. Jelani Woods will be out the first 4 weeks. Angie, I'll be honest with you, on his press conferences, he's always going to win that press conference. I mean, one of his really, really strong suits is going into that press conference and he's a great mouthpiece, man. I mean, he is a great mouthpiece. He's going to say all the right things. He's going to make you feel real warm and fuzzy when you walk away from it. But I've always contended his words don't match his actions always. He says a lot of things, and I do believe that ultimately his core values are things that he tries to stand behind. But that being said, he's just never shown this willingness, in my opinion, whether we win or whether we lose, to really look at himself internally and maybe take a different look, a different stance, maybe become a little bit more aggressive. I want you to personally introduce you and other Colts streamers, hear from him directly. Man, I'll tell you, don't think that will ever happen. That would be cool. That'd be a cool moment to get a chance to, sit down and have his side of it. I don't know if Jonathan Taylor, I mean, he hasn't spoken this whole time. The last time that I know that he spoke was when he said he was going to come back and fulfill his rookie contract. So, you tell me, man. I mean, it doesn't seem like that's going to happen. Change of heart, Nomad. I'm really about AR5 and team build. How can JT fit in some ways a different track? Then again, I think he is an exciting player to have around. That's a good point. I think everything is and should be and will be about, Richardson once we get into the season. I thought it would have been really valuable to have Jonathan Taylor back there. What a security blanket in a rookie year to be able to go back there and hand the football to a player like that. That being said, sometimes you just can't meet those demands of those players and what they're asking for. I do think JT would have been a pretty good fit. Now we've never really seen JT in that RPO system necessarily, but I have a hard time believing he's not going to be successful if he's healthy. But I think all eyes and all attention and all everything should be rightfully so pointed to, Anthony Richardson and then development him and how he's going to be able to play moving forward. I mean, I think that's everything. Corey says maybe Ballard with his flat bill Taylor on his hoodie, and they can figure this out. Yeah. Hey, what do you guys think about the Chris Ballard flat bill, man? I mean, this guy's rocking a flat bill all the time. Every year he finds a hat or a slogan, and he rolls with that for about 6 months. Are you fans of anybody in the chat, man? You fans of the flat bill, or are you saying, you know what, it's time to give the flat bill up? I say give the flat bill up, man. I say give the flat bill up and start signing some players and making this football team a little bit better, because ultimately that's what you want. You want a team and a product that you can be proud of, and I don't know of anybody who wants to go out there and, yeah, no Matt Pipe said, he said, I thought Ballard was going to start calling plays out there. I think that's probably a pretty valid point. Um, Really weird kind of an interaction. He was down there on the sidelines like that. Maybe just wanting to see one last look at those players. Now we did sign 3 players, Philly, Dallas, and I believe, who was the third? We did get another lineman in there. So we got a tackle, we got a guard, we got a guy who from Dallas who's really going to be an edge for us. I know he's listed as a linebacker on the waiver wire, but he's really going to play the edge position for us. It's a guy that Chris Ballard said he was high on in the draft, didn't get a chance to get him, but comes back around and claims him on the waiver, really likes his ability. Let's see what Adam has to say. Good show. As usual, Ballard definitely needs to give his flat bill up, and Ballard should add more O-line players. Well, he added a couple today, Adam. I'm not sure that the juice is worth a squeeze. Probably should have added them a long time ago, if we're being honest. There's some veterans out there that would be an upgrade. Here's been my stance all along. When you're dealing with this offensive line, it is absolutely 100% inevitable that you're going to have an injury as a season. Now, I don't know if that's going to be one play. I don't know if that's going to be one series, one game, 1 year, 1 month, but they're going to get hurt, man. And I think that you have to have that. Nomad does like the fact that we did get some O-line depth. Definitely. Anything is going to be an upgrade. Obviously, Jason Sills, you can draw the parallels with him in Philadelphia. He has a little bit of a track record with him and had a chance to see him live up close in person. We did as a joint practice. Obviously, we played them, so they did their diligence. They went ahead and signed him. I think it was pertinent that they would go ahead and get 2 different linemen, because our offensive line just really needed an upgrade. I'll be honest with you. I thought we would have went out and maybe looked at cornerback. I would have thought we would have maybe went out and looked at wide receiver as well. Still just carrying 4 on there, man. That's really wild. Sarah, happy we kept Jalen Jones. Hopefully more receivers and get Norwell or Reisner. That is so puzzling to me as well, that you wouldn't have even – and who knows, maybe we kick the tires and they want too much money. I don't know what it could be, but, I mean, that's a real upgrade. If you go out and get a guy like Norwell or Reisner, I mean, you're getting a much better quality, trustworthy offensive lineman, one that you can count on. But yeah, I mean, Jalen Jones, if he could stay healthy, he's been encouraging. And turns out he beat out Darius Rush, who did get claimed by the Kansas City Chiefs. So it doesn't look like that Rush is going to be a Colt. It's just the way it goes. Let's see. Oh, Nero De Niro. Holy cow. This is my favorite name on YouTube right here, by the way. We're going to get to Nero's here in just 1 second. Corey, Miami Dolphins offensive tackle Ryan Hayes, Philadelphia Eagles guard Josh Sills, and Dallas Cowboys linebacker Isaiah Land. So it was Ryan Hayes would be the tackle, more of a swing tackle. Gives us an opportunity to do something, pretty cool there. Nero De Niro, come on, man, what a great name. Somebody he liked in the draft. Kind of wished we would have picked up Dyke 2. What do you guys think? Is there a player out there that you wish we would have tried to claim? Is there somebody that you wish we would have? What's the position in this chat right now? Everybody in this position, just what is the position that you think this football team is lacking more than anything? Would you go running back? Would you go wide receiver? Would you go cornerback? Would you go edge? Would you add another offensive lineman? Would you ever add a safety? Where would you be with all of that? Let's see what. All right. Brandon Smith said, hey, I've never actually seen Gay kick. Is he good? Should we be confident with him on the field goals this year? Well, I'll say this. He had a 28-yard attempt in his first preseason game, and he did miss. So that was rough, but he did bounce back. He made some extra points, made a field goal. Corey Lampkin says he wants a wide receiver and a cornerback. I mean, you got to think you're going to have 5 wide receivers as you carry the year through, right? Like you're going to go out there and you're going to eventually have the 5 receivers and backs from Sarah. Tyrell wants a QB. What? Tyrell, come on, man. You got to explain about this. What are you not an Anthony Richardson fan? Are you not willing to give this guy a chance to come in here and be, everything that we think he can be? Or do you just think we need more depth, a better backup? I need some clarity on this, Tyrell. We love this guy. Last year, he was on here. We had some great debates with him. He's one of our favorite to show up. So nice to see you again, Tyrell. Let me know about that, and we'll pop that up and get the conversation going. Thought we could have kept Rush instead of Taven Bryan. Nero, I actually predicted that we would cut Taven Bryan. I was a little bit surprised that we kept him, if I'm being 100% honest. That was a little bit of a head scratcher for me. He just didn't do much for me. Paul wants wide out corner. The whole team, now that you think about it, I mean, you might not be wrong, Paul. This might be one of the smartest comments that we've had on this whole thing. Let's get over here. Terrell Collins, what do you think about the Colts signing Racy McMath? Very good athlete. Very good athlete. Kind of a nice little stash away guy that you're going to have on your practice squad. Big, physical, fast. Titans let him go. We were able to put him and revert him on. We've got a few guys. I mean, you still got, Winfrey over there. I like DJ Montgomery a little bit. He looks like he's got a little bit of something to him. You'd like to think that they're going to find somebody in that practice squad group that can maybe, elevate their game. Michael Strawn, somebody that can find their way to get back to this 53-man roster, man. I mean, geez, Willikers. I mean, you'd have to think. Let's see what we got here. I hope he's good at McFootball. Yeah, you're right about that. Let's get some McTouchdowns going on this year. Guys, if you haven't had a chance, as we're just getting going, 28 people here, we want to say thank you. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do it, man. It's the nice thing, the polite thing to do. Tap in, be a part of this No Horsing Around family as we get going. We do live streams every single Wednesday all season long. That means we're going to have, I guess, about 18 more of them in a row here. And we love this part. It's probably our favorite part. We get to interact with you guys, and we let you guys take this chat over as we're doing right now. Sarah, I love Winfrey and Rogers. Amari Rogers, would that be Amari Rogers? Just making sure on that. I thought Winfrey was going to make the team, if I'm being honest. I think some who played the whole season, regular season, any more than 53. I like pull a draw Tom for athletes. I don't understand that completely. I kind of looks like Richardson, except I kind of look like except I'm white, 5'10". My voice is kind of high, but I'm fast. Should I try out for this team next year? Brandon, I would not try out for this team next year. I would. If you're fast, man, I mean, maybe try out for the Olympics, brother. You know what I mean? Get in that 100 meter, man. I mean, see what you got. See if you got the burners going. What position is Shaq Leonard playing? Well, he's gonna be a linebacker. He's always gonna be that really weak side linebacker. Sideline to sideline guy. Hopefully he's healthy. Had the red jersey on today. Coming back from that concussion, absolutely no reason to rush him back from that. But other than that, I expect him to probably start and play week 1. I don't know if he's going to be on some sort of a pitch count as far as that goes, but that's that's more to come. Paul Wilson, I really think we might be a 4 or 5 win team, but I do think we'll learn a ton, being very entertaining while getting a top 5 draft pick. Paul, probably on to something here. I don't think the Colts expect to win a lot of football games this year, which absolutely sucks for me. The fan of me never, ever, ever wants to concede, and I never want to lose. So I hope Shane Steichen, Anthony Richardson, and the guys who are there and who do want to play for this football team find a way to turn it around and get hot, man. You saw Brian Dable come in last year with the Giants, and not the most talented team in the world, but just really good coaching and really good scheming. Resulted in a playoff football team. So we'll see what happens when it comes to that. A lot of pressure, though, man, on a rookie quarterback. Click the bell to receive notification every time we go live. That's a great point. Yeah, hit that bell. That thing's going to drop down and let you know that we're going live. I do appreciate that one there as well. I really think Colin Granson is a receiver and tight end hybrid. He runs really good routes, and he's fast. Yeah, I mean, he has benefited more than any tight end just because he's been available. And he's looked pretty good in the preseason. He's never really had a hard time, going out there and getting those catches. It's just the volume now. Can he turn into that true number one type tight end? He's got a big opportunity here with Jelani Woods going to be out the first 4 weeks. I mean, come on, man. I mean, pretty cool. Steven's getting ready to hop in here as well. We're going to go 5 wins, not so bad if we look like a complete team and stay close in games. I guess not. I just want to win, man. I want to win. Paul, appreciate you liking that, guys. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Keep on piling in here, man. Hitting us with these questions. You guys are lighting us up right now, and it's pretty cool. We'll get Steven to pop in here, and we'll get him to join this debate, and we'll see where he's at. Brother.
Hey.
Man, how you doing? Hey, we got a nice, lively chat going tonight.
I'm noticing it, man.
Pretty cool. Glad McKenzie is back. Yeah, he was cut for about a minute, and then he immediately got signed back with the team, which makes perfect sense. Steven, just kind of going over some thoughts. Chris Ballard's press conference, obviously, just direction of the football team. We're kind of discussing final 53. The chat's got going on some wins-loss predictions as well. Positions of need, positions that we're still worried about, going down the road. It's been kind of a cool, open forum so far as we've done about 21 minutes. And everybody's done a great job. I mean, you guys are killing it right now with these comments. And I want to just keep it go because I'll be 100% transparent with you on these live streams. I would much rather you guys continue to comment and us just react to every one of those comments. That's our funnest version of a live stream because ultimately this is your live stream. We're just lucky enough to get to use our voices and our big old ugly bearded faces to do our thing. Oh, I see us at 10-5 millions. Better coach Shane Steichen. Wish we had him sooner. Hey, well, if we're 10-5, that would be a miracle because there's 17 games in an NFL season. But that being said, if we win 10 games, that will also be a miracle because that's a fringe playoff team. I mean, I don't know. The AFC's packed this year. I mean, absolutely.
Oh,
packed. So it's pretty cool. Nero De Niro, everybody. We have already introduced him early. He's been commenting on this one. As I've said last year, Steven, as I'll say this year, it's going to be hard pressed to ever out top this.
It's a great name.
Nero De Niro. I mean, it is
one of the best names.
It is pretty freaking cool. Worst is 6 wins, best is 9-10. I think that's pretty realistic. I think the over-under set, we could check here in a minute. Over-under, somebody
here,
get
I'll
on.
Take a look.
Somebody check. Over-under 6.5 wins. You guys hitting over or under? You're gonna. I don't know, man. I mean,
you hit us with that. You hit me with that last week too on the show, on one of the shows, and it's 6.5 is such a perfect number because my feeling the entire time has always been 6 to 7, right? Like that's where I've been. So 6.5 is like, dang.
Yeah.
Do I go 6 or do I go 7? Like that's kind of how I've felt. Anybody who's asked, me and you have talked about it. That's kind of where I've stood. So 6.5 would be.
Let's see.
Just that one where you're pulling your hair out.
While you're looking that up, I'm going to get this one. To be honest, I just finished my fantasy draft and did pick one Colts player. That's an eye-opener for me. I'm a little worried now. I could have picked a Colts player, but I don't want to lose. Well, Brandon, you should have picked AR5, man. I mean, I'm just giving you a little, little deep dive. You got in about the 4th round and got him. He's a running back that plays quarterback. 6'4", 255 pounds, laser rocket arm. That's Anthony Richardson. I definitely think we do have a bad year. We're on pace to do what the Bengals did. They got a quarterback, then a star receiver, could be really competitive in 2 seasons. Paul, I love this comment. I don't like it. I love this comment because I think you're onto something. And I think Jim, we all know Jim Irsay is a nostalgic person. Jim Irsay would die literally if Marvin Harrison Jr. was in a Colts uniform. I don't think that guy would ever stop gushing over being able to select him. So I think you're on to something there. Nero, what team is ever looking forward to playing this year? Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm looking forward to the season opener, and here's why. I want to see Anthony Richardson and Lucas Oil for the very first time on the football field. I want to see that crowd, and I want to see us go out there and shock the world, man. I mean, we haven't won a season opener for so long. I just want to see us go out there and shock the world. Nero is wanting to see the New England game in Germany. Man. All right, let's get this one up there too. Heck yeah, man. We love seeing it too. We love seeing you on here. Super cool to have. Oh, it's going to Full Sail in spring for broadcasting. That's
awesome.
Cool.
That is awesome.
Be proud of yourself, man. I mean, and the only advice I'll ever give you, and we'll get off our soapbox, is you are the content. Just press play and record and start talking and have
be
the best
yourself.
Exactly. The game in Germany should be fun. Get some brats going and some spot and beer. Yeah, you could definitely do that.
The only issue with the game in Germany is you might hit that stout just a little too early in the day.
Yeah,
is the issue.
You're walking out of that game sideways. He's looking for Brandon's looking for the game Jacksonville in Jacksonville. Just a little bit of FYI for Brandon Smith. He is very fast. He says as on one of his earlier comments. We're trying to petition to get the guy signed up for the Olympics, so we'll see what happens. Kent Sterling said he would shave his head if we don't win season opener. Wow, man.
We love us some Kent. We'll have to check on that.
That is wild. As a matter of fact, if you guys love Kent, we just had Kent on about a week ago. He did a great job. We love doing that pod with him.
Great guy.
Pretty cool dude. Yeah, it was fun having him on here.
Love
his energy. Definitely love that. So I don't know if you had a chance to listen to much of the presser with Chris Ballard today, Stephen. But that being said, obviously he always says all the right things in the press conference. He's always going to win the press conference. But that being said, we still have this dark cloud that has literally just followed us this whole preseason, and now we still have Jonathan Taylor on the PUP list. No movement whatsoever. And here we are getting ready to play a football game in about a week and a half. And we're no closer than we ever were as far as that goes. But I think it's important for the viewers and the listeners, especially on this show, to know that everything about this football team, and I know Jonathan Taylor has been a special player for us, everything about this football team all surrounds the quarterback position. Anthony Richardson, all moves should be to support him. When I'm talking offensive line, playmakers with wide receivers, tight ends, everything should be there to support him and give him every opportunity to go out there and win football games. Because I truly believe at some point, and I don't know when that point's going to be, I think he's going to be a special football player in the NFL. He has all of the pedigree. You can see the arm. You can see the legs. You can see the athletic ability. You can see the built-in time clock in his head when someone's getting close and he just knows to spin out and move and go. All of that will have to come together. Let's keep in mind, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, very inconsistent early on in their career, and they just continue to work and get better and better and better. That's kind of the trajectory I feel like you're going to get with him.
Well, I was going to say, I don't know, did if anybody, and I'm sure the chat's like booming, so I mean, there's a lot of people on there. Did anybody catch what on Pat McAfee today? They had Josh Allen on, and he was talking about how he went and got his throwing motion digitally mapped, and he was like, best thing I've ever done in my life. It shows like where you're kinking, where you're not, and it's like, hey, and Pat's like, hey, that's amazing. And he's like, and he says something about AR. And Josh Allen's like, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but Anthony Richardson had it done too. And he gushed about him. Like, he was like, his throwing motion is amazing.
Yeah.
So I mean, and if you're thinking like with what Zach's saying too about like everything is to support AR, two recent examples would be the Eagles, and they loaded up to support Jalen Hurts. Get him as many weapons as possible. That's one. And it's the Bengals with Joe Burrow,
For sure.
Loaded up to support Joe Burrow.
Jeff wants to know who takes JT's place on Lucas Oil. I'm going to be honest with you. It's going to be weird having him up there. I don't think he goes anywhere as long as he's a part of this football team. I think that would just be
you can't take it down
so much
right
gasoline
now.
to the fire that you've already kind of started stoking and building. I don't think that he goes off there, but I will say this next spot that comes up is probably going to be your quarterback going up on the side of that building at some point.
Yeah.
We'll have to see. Who do you guys think should be the next face on the on the building? I'd vote for Richardson, but I don't know if you want to give it to a rookie. Steven, are you a little bit concerned that we only have 4 wide receivers right now, and really just haven't done anything at that position? Do you like this philosophy of, just kind of wait and see?
It's weird. Like, I don't know if I dislike it. I don't know if I like it. I saw someone make a comment. I can't remember. And I wish I could give him credit for it. Do you think we're carrying less because we have several athletic tight ends that are almost like bigger wide receivers?
Yeah.
I'm less worried than I was when they cut Isaiah McKenzie and it went down to 3.
Yeah.
At the same time, I don't love it because it's 4. It's just, you don't see that. I mean, obviously, we're going to see some stuff. We're going to see some signings over the next couple of days. I mean, it's just a very odd thing. And then, you combine it with, I don't know if they're even looking for like that veteran leadership, if they're what they're doing at all. Because then you see the reports too that we are like one of the young. Like, there are, I think I don't know if I sent it to you, Zach. We have no one over the age of 30 on the roster.
Yeah,
we have 2 that are 30 years old.
It's a clear youth movement. There's no doubt
Absolutely.
about it. Brandon, yes, we have. We have actually 2 years in a row. Steve and I, for the first time, went this year. We have media credentials down to training camp. The year before, I went by myself. Zaire Franklin, DJ Baker. A lot of people call him Darrell Baker Jr., but as Zaire told us while we were there at the press conference, he wants
cleared that up real quick.
So DJ Baker. Yeah, we've had an opportunity to do that, which is pretty cool. And that's really honestly because of you. You're tuning in, you're commenting, you're liking, you're subscribing, you're joining this No Horsing Around family. And then guess what? We get to show up on your behalf and ask the questions. So
and cool. We won't forget too. I mean, if you can pop that, I'll just pop that one back up. One of the other things, like talking about meeting players, it's not all that either. We've been blessed enough to where, like, I think we've gotten to talk to the coaches too. We've gotten to, I think in the past we talked to Eberflus a few years ago. We've talked to Frank. I got a chance to talk to Frank Reich last year, which was like fanboy moment a little bit for me. We've talked to the past offensive coordinator, and that really is it. Like Zach says, it really is truly because of y'all, because we have to, like, they have to approve it. And y'all legitimize us, which is what's amazing.
Exactly. You guys literally stamped our passes to be able to do that.
Yeah, twice now.
I'll be tracking AR's QB rating on my little Colts by the Numbers website. I like to be steady increase over the games. Very well. Hey, I'll tell you what, no, man, it would be really cool week by week on our live stream. We do it every single Wednesday. Let us know those numbers, man. Share them with us. Share with the community here at the
And drop the website on here so other people can see it too, so they can track it.
Let us check it out, man. I think it would be pretty cool. Let's get to Paul. Let's get through some of these. Ballard acknowledged that he has work to do when he asked about receivers. I'm sure they will add one. I think so, yes, but I think he was more kind of concluding as far as today that he was just going to go ahead and sign, Isaiah McKenzie, back to the squad.
That was kind of funny because that happened while he was in his press conference.
Yeah. There's work to be done. Loves Baker. Stewart, I guess I'm assuming that would be Grant Stewart. AR will be the next face on the side of the building. I don't see how that couldn't be. So a lot to unpack, a lot to talk about, obviously, Stephen. But that being said, I mean, our 53 is our 53 at this point, right? Like we are. Oh, Corey Lampkin says, let's put Stephen Burton up on the side of the building.
Yes,
guys.
I can do the.
We're trying to bring people into Lucas Oil, man. We're not
face only a mother could love. Right? I wonder if they make me shave the beard.
Yeah, we're trying to invite people into Lucas Oil. Maybe next year, not this year, but maybe next year. Stephen makes it up there. We'll just have to see as far as that goes. A nice laugh for Paulie. What I want you guys to answer this too, and kind of get the chat going, but. What area of concern do you have, Stephen? Like, are you worried about our wide receiver room? Obviously, we only have 4 there. Are you worried about the cornerback room? Would you like to have more of an offensive? I know Sarah mentioned earlier that you've got Norwell sitting out there, you've got Reisner still sitting out there as veterans that they could have acquired up until this point and have not. Me, for one, I will answer this and kind of let you take it away. I still think we go out and find a running back to bring in this room too. I have a hard time believing that they're fully confident in what we got in that running back room right now.
Yeah, that was actually so. Like, wide receiver worries me because the amount, right? Like, there's 4. You wonder what's going to happen with that. Just the attrition of the NFL season. Now, there's a lot of wide receivers that were on during training camp that we got to see in person that are on the practice squad that could get called up. That part worries me. Corner worries me because it's worried me all season. But at the same time, like I said last week when we did this too, is that I'm kind of done worrying. Like, why would I worry about something they're obviously not worried about? It's not going to be pretty. So there's that. I'm on the exact same train as you when it comes to the running back. I'm interested because right now I love Hull. I think he's got potential. Zach Moss is going to be able to play week 1, pushes right up on that deadline that they gave, that 4 to 6 weeks. That's right up. And Deion Jackson is there. It's a very thin group without having JT there.
I think the real concern for me is that you just don't have that home run hitter, right? Like, you got these guys that can go out and get you 6, 7, 8, 9 yards, but not a true real home run hitter. You hand them the football and they can take it all the way to the house. Now, that being said, you do have a home run hitter who happens to be on PUP right now. So,
yeah,
I mean,
a very unhappy.
Fascinating to see how that.
I want to ask you a question, Zach. I don't know if you guys covered this in the very beginning, but I'm just curious. I know you had to have touched on JT a little bit in the beginning of it, right? Did you discuss it all? The rumored float out there with the Packers on the. I'm curious. I want to hear from you, and I want to hear from the chat. Would you have taken a deal that was a 3 and because this was the rumor, right? This was the rumor was a day 2 pick, but it wasn't a second round pick. It was a 3rd round pick. I think Stephen Holder said it was actually 2 3s and a player. So would you have taken the rumor I heard was 2 3s and AJ Dillon from the Packers for JT? Would you have taken that? And then I'm going to ask a flip question about the other rumor that came out, and I want to see what you guys, if the chat would take that.
Man, what I've taken.
I think I would have said okay.
2 3.
Like, me starting off, let you think about it, breathe on it for a second. 2 3s, and you're getting a very sturdy, proven back in return, and you're getting him to the NFC. I think I probably would have said yes, because I know you covered this earlier. I know you talked about this, was like the cloud's still there. And Stephen Holder made a great point saying he could be traded tomorrow still. The deadline was the deadline, but he can still be traded.
All right, I'm ready to answer the question.
Okay.
No, I wouldn't have. It's close, and I mean, definitely piqued my interest as far as that goes. I just think at the end of the day, Jonathan Taylor is so valuable to your football team. I don't know why I believe this. There's no real good rationale beyond with this. I think ultimately he comes back and plays for this football team, and I think ultimately we end up paying him. I think that after all of this happens and everything, and we're arguing, and owners and agents and players and speculation and trade deadlines and PUP, and after all of that said and done, he comes back healthy, he plays, he balls out, and then I think Chris Ballard just goes ahead and gives him a 2 or 3 year extension and calls it a day. I think Chris Ballard is waiting for the reason to go to Jim Irsay and say, okay, this is why we want to extend this guy. But he doesn't have the reason because of the ankle. And I know that in the past, we've signed some guys who were injured or had a little bit of an injury from the year before, and it hadn't necessarily panned out. I think Irsay would feel way better about seeing this guy on the field. And I think ultimately he's a true weapon when he's out there on the football field and when he's healthy.
Okay, so I got another one for you. This was the other thing that obviously came out today was when they were having conversations with the Dolphins.
Oh yeah.
It was. Would you have traded JT straight up for hell? Yes. Yes.
Yeah. That's a done deal.
Straight up for Jalen Waddle?
Oh
yes.
That's I wouldn't even. That'd be one of the quickest yeses. That, of course, the Dolphins were never going to say yes to that either.
No.
You know what I mean? Like they were never going to. They were. Well, first of all, you're getting a pretty special player. Secondly, you're getting a player that at a more premium position, wide receiver. We all know, everybody's piping in here now saying yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, here's one. Nero brought this up. I think JT is serious about not playing for us. I want to talk about this real quick.
Hit it.
I think he plays. Now I'm on a different plane than you. Like even throughout this whole process, so everyone knows. Peel back the curtain. Zach always said he wasn't getting traded. I felt that he was going to in the end, so Zach was correct. I'm glad we didn't bet anything on it.
Yeah.
It hurts coming out, right? Like saying, but Zach was 100% right. I will say this: I don't think he sits out because hearing them talk this morning, like on the wake up show and things like that, is that it seems coming out of Stephen Holder's so plugged in, like he seems very plugged in on this situation too. Was that JT was surprised he was on PUP. He expected to have to report. And y'all got to remember this too. I want to say the numbers correctly. I can't remember exactly. If he's activated and he doesn't show, it's like, what is it? Like $20,000 or $200,000 a day? Or no, it's $200,000 for a missed game. And the dude's only making $4 million this year. He's not, I don't know about y'all, but millionaires aren't in the business of throwing away money.
Yeah.
And he's not stupid. Like he's not a stupid guy.
He has to accrue a season. So if he just basically says, I want to let this injury linger, then he's not going to accrue a season. And then next year he's basically on another rookie contract. He's essentially just eliminates this whole year and goes right back in the same boat that he's been in. He can't do that. Now, there's been a lot of things that I didn't think he would do. I thought at some point, he would just report and just figure this out. But that being said, up until a point, he's going to push this thing as far as he can push it. But then once you get to that point, I think he plays, man. And I think he has to play. I mean, he has to play X amount of football games just to accrue. Now, I know it's been a little bit conflicting, 6 or 8 games. I really want to get better clarification on that. But he has to accrue, a certain amount of games. If he doesn't do that, then he's done. I mean, then he's gonna revert.
Well, and when you get to the point,
money for him right now, so that seems hard.
And when you get to a point where you start losing serious money, like that's when the conversation starts going, man. And I know there are people out there like who are going to say like Nick Bosa's losing a lot of money. Nick Bosa's getting ready to sign a massive contract that'll take care, and then they'll waive it all, right? They'll waive all that. Same with Chris Jones. Like those are big. Even if JT gets a record-setting deal as a running back, you're looking at what, 3 years, $45 million, 3 years, $39 million.
I mean,
it's not enough to cover what you're losing by sitting out. And like we said earlier, we can say a lot of things about the heel turn that has been, for those who watch wrestling, the heel turn that has been Jonathan Taylor, right? He's not stupid. He's very smart. He is not going to cost himself anything.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. I think he's going to it's push it to a point. How far? Who's going to blink first?
I think this is the point. I can't see any way whatsoever he gets back from PUP after those 4 weeks and he doesn't find a way back on that football field pretty soon. I mean, I think that would be just. That would be head scratching to think that he would be willing, a person who's literally not played or practiced one time for this team in this offseason on the account of money, to then in turn take himself out of contentions of making money this year and in the future.
There's only one way he makes money.
That would be unbelievable to me. The only caveat I'd say to that is that what if he is just, 100% injured and we just don't know what the severity of it, and then he just can't play, and then I think that
there you go, Corey.
that
you are the
would
man.
really change everything. Each game missed would be forfeited 1/18 of his base salary, equal to $239,111. There you go. Corey Lampkin's coming through.
There you go, Corey. Right, you're the man.
Come on, man.
Well, coming in with the money, man. I mean, it's one of those things where it's going to be a very interesting thing to watch and see what happens and see what he does.
Yeah.
It's never, I think Ballard even said it in his press conference, like, it's never really happened. Like, we've never really seen this for with the Colts and players refusing to come. And then you got the report now coming out that, some of it is you're hearing more and more of there's a big distrust because of last season. He felt like maybe Jeff Saturday pushed him back into the lineup before he was ready. And then kudos to you, Zach. I think a thing you said, I think you hit it on the head and may not even have known you hit it on the head, was you're talking about a guy who had never been hurt.
Yeah.
And he's finally hurt, and he a significant injury. How does he come back mentally? Like he's so in tune with how he feels.
Yeah.
Does it spook him? Does he know how to come back from? He's never had to come back from an injury. Does he not know how to come back from an injury and be the same? There's a lot of weird things that are just out there when it comes to him. I'd say, and the worst part of all of it, and Zach, you've said this over and over, is it like, and we do it too. It covers up and puts this cloud over the excitement that we have about Anthony Richardson and what he looks like. I think once the games start, it'll still be there, but the focus will wane from it because we will be watching Anthony Richardson. How's he progress? Everything will become about that.
I think it will happen pretty quickly, actually, because next week we're going to start talking about the Jacksonville game. We'll get into that. And really, there is no storyline with Taylor for now, because he's got to wait 4 weeks before he can play. Now, the week before, the questions will start surfacing again. Where is he? How healthy is he? Is he going to be able to come back? Nero asked, has he been wearing a boot, crutches, appear to be hobbled? No, and no to me. That doesn't mean I know.
We saw him in person.
We saw it in person. We were very close to him. There was not one hitch in his step that day at all. So take that for.
I think I leaned over to you. And I was like, he doesn't look hobbled.
No,
and he came just walking right past.
Yeah. The press was trying to trap Ballard into saying the training staff during the press conference related to his treatment of his ankle. Yeah, I mean, we all know the history with our training staff and some injuries that we've had, and I've often questioned because of the common occurrence that we've had to star level players, why we haven't thought about maybe going a different direction with our team doctors. That's a little bit baffling to me, if I'm being honest.
Well, and it doesn't help, Zach, that we are not transparent in the least. Like, this is an injury, and then it's like the guy who goes on WebMD, right, and looks it up. This is an injury that was supposed to take 4 to 6 weeks to recover from, and we're sitting here 6 months later, and it's still like, and there's just no transparency from the front office on what's going on, and then your mind races, and then you come up with the things like we're talking about. Nobody has any clue, and it's so frustrating.
Yeah, it really is. Great question from Addison here. Would you rather Colts get below market deal for JT or just have him sit until he eventually becomes a free agent where you lose him for nothing? So here's what I'd say. I like the question. I don't think we're there yet, Addison, but I agree with you. When you get to that point where you're literally getting ready to lose him and get nothing, I think your mindset changes a whole lot. But let's be honest. If we wanted to, and I don't know if this is going to happen, he's going to be a Colt for the next 2 years, whether he likes it or not. Now, the Colts may get to a point where they say, you know what, we just absolutely can't have this, in our building. It's that toxic. I don't think we're at that point. Now, if we were in that situation, yeah, I think you take less. I think you got to get something for him. You're in a rebuild mode. You're trying to get better. At that point, you do. But right now, it doesn't really sound like they got any actual real offers either, if we're being 100% honest.
It's not like they didn't get a 2. No one even talked. I mean, I think I was listening to I don't really like him, but it's was it Joe Lombardi? Not Joe Lombardi. I can't remember. He was on McAfee, and he was talking about it, and he said that if you are such a super, he was talking about like he was talking to Jonathan Taylor, right? If you are such a superstar, why can't I get a 1 for you? Like if you want this big contract to be paid like a 1, why can't I get a 1? And to come to find out, weren't even getting 2s, like not even 2s. Like someone said too, I think it was this morning. It's interesting to note this is that his agent has not been flapping his mouth at all. Like we had this great offer where we're going to get all this money, and he's not come out and said anything, which makes me believe they didn't have that. Like they saw what it was like out there.
Yeah, I think, and we said this a long time ago, kind of at the beginning of this process, kind of after the the infamous getting on the bus and coming off the bus and then literally asking for a trade request an hour later. I think the best thing the Colts could have done in this is let him go out there and talk to other teams. I really do. Because whether he likes it or dislikes it or not, Steven, he now knows what his value is in the market. Okay? So his value is what it is, and not what he says it is, not what his agent says it is, not even what the Colts says it is. It's what the league says it is. And the league says his value is not so great that we're willing to A, pay you the contract that you're asking for, and B, willing to give up the compensation. Bottom line is, if he met the criteria of 1 or 2 of those things, he would not be an Indianapolis Colt right now. We'd be talking about Jonathan Taylor playing for another football team. But that being said, that didn't happen. Is it fair? No. But does it matter? Also no. Because ultimately, life in the NFL, being a running back, results in this situation. I know it's difficult. I know you feel like you're undervalued. But at the same time, you are what you're worth, man. I mean, in any walk of life, you are. A lawyer can only charge what he's worth. You can't charge $1 million an hour if you're worth $2,500 an hour. It just doesn't work that way.
Right.
And that's what's happening right now. I think it's a meeting of the minds, but I think it's a sobering moment. He has 4 weeks to let this kind of sink in, and then go from there. And I think at that point, over this 4 weeks, I think he's going to have long enough to separate from this to where he can eventually just say, you know what, I think I'm just going to come back. I'm going to play, and I'm either going to get traded because my value is so high, or I'm going to get a big blockbuster deal with the team I'm playing with, or a new team moving forward. So I think you would have a much better gripe next year than you would have this year anyways, because let's remember, Jacobs, Saquon Barkley both played out their rookie contracts in its totality. They did. They are only in this stance of negotiation with a franchise tag, which is much different than fulfilling your contractual obligation.
Yeah, I agree, man. I mean, it's just, he's not. I'm trying to figure out how to formulate what I'm trying to say here. The only way to increase his value is by play, right? That's the only way that's the only thing he has control over. You want to get paid more. The lasting image right now, the last image is, what have you done for me lately? And he's hurt, and he's coming off of a down season. And I'm sorry, he is. And I love JT. We love JT, right? He's coming off of a down season, and he's coming off of an injury. That's your impression right now. The only way you change that is report after 4 games and go get yourself 1,500 yards.
Yep.
I think either the Colts trade you or we sign you. And we all know, it's been reported, they want to sign him. Like, that's a dispute that can be debunked. It is earmarked for him to be paid next year.
The thing that's important for people to know and to people to realize, every single game he sits out from this point moving forward, he literally devalues himself. Even if he were to be traded, even if we weren't to franchise tag him, he's not going to get a contract nowhere near comparable to what he wants, because he can't, because he has nothing to base that off of. He hasn't played many games. as far as last year, and now he's already going to miss 4 games this year. So health's a concern, but we have to see the production, when it comes to all of that. Let's get through some of these. Will anybody be sitting next to JT the first game or by himself? I don't even know if he'll be there, honestly, man. I mean, it'd be
most of the time they're not at game. Like if you're on PUP or you're on the NFI or something like that, or IR, you're not at the game.
Paul doesn't think Taylor's hurt. He's trying to play with a little leverage he has. I think Paul, there's been a lot of discussion about that. I don't think he has much leverage right now, if we're being 100% honest. Can't do much without a line. Tyrell, last year we were terrible. This year, jury's still out. I'll say this. We go out week 1, we're going to find out at least a little bit about what we have with that offensive line. But I have my doubts, man. I really do. I think, I think we should have really upgraded quite a bit on that offensive line. Chris Ballard doesn't think that way. So, it is what it is.
I'm hopeful. I'll be hopeful. I'll hope for the both of us.
Yeah.
That it can't be as bad as last year. I don't think it can be as bad as last year.
Whew. Yeah, that was
even alone with the mobile quarterback who can get out of kind of some of the jams. But he's absolutely right. Like you can't do JT was running into a brick wall a lot of times last year. Just running into the brick wall.
So Chad love Chad, by the way. Long time fan of Chad's. So we waived a corner because we drafted too many instead of an interior offer. Yeah. No, you're not wrong at all. we needed an interior offensive lineman. We needed depth this whole offseason. Chris Ballard's words, not mine, said we would do it both ways. We would draft and we would sign somebody in free agency. We didn't really do much of that, if we're being honest. So, yeah, spot on right there, Chad. We should have.
It's the weirdness of it, right? Like we've talked about this. The weirdness that it's one of his pillars, and you're not. Now we could wake up tomorrow and they could have brought in 3 new people, signed them up. But right now it's odd.
Next year's draft's going to be all about, obviously, for the top end, you're going to want to go out and get a big playmaker, but it's going to be all about shoring up those loose ends, and you're going to want players at big positions. I think it's going to be something big for us, and you're going to have to go in there and retool and probably pay up a day 1, day 2 pick for an offensive lineman, as well as you're probably going to want to go out there and maybe take another swing at edge, because it just doesn't look like that Ballard's ever been able to fully hit on that edge position. Quiddy Pay, nice effort guy. Don't think that's ever going to turn into a double-digit sack guy year in and year out. And then you pay a guy in Ebucom who hasn't really been so healthy in the preseason and in training camp. But also, this guy didn't have a lot of sacks last year. I know he played behind a lot of people out there in San Francisco. He's a real high-effort, high-energy guy. We've got enough of those guys. We need a guy with true athletic ability and bend, a guy who can go there and get that quarterback down. So I think you got to really consider going after that as well.
If you're sitting in the high end, I when I came on, I know you were talking about this. If you're sitting in the top 3, which there are people who think that, right? There's no way they don't draft Marvin Harrison Jr. if he's sitting there. It's a position of need. It's the legacy. Like you said, Irsay would love to be able to do that. But then you're also picking high in the second round and things like that. And so, next year is all about, like you said, from here on out, really, is all about carving out around Anthony Richardson. What do you need to do to maximize? And that's what all the great teams have done. So they did with Josh Allen. He needed to make a next step. They pulled the trade for Stephon Diggs, right? Yeah. We've already talked about with Jalen Hurts. We already talked about with who else do we mention? I'm trying to remember. And then there's in our own division, Trevor Lawrence. You see what they do. That is how you have to maximize it, right?
Yeah. Oh, you got to give these young quarterbacks weapons to throw the football to, because what a weapons
possibly can.
Weapons erase mistakes. Weapons make a quarterback feel confident, and everything goes away. Do you think we fire the GM after the season?
No.
This is a great question, though, because I'm gonna we're going to go down a rabbit hole in a conspiracy theory. I think it's an actual more of a possibility than some people tend to believe. I'll be honest with you.
Now talk to me, Zach, because that's a big change from what you've said.
Wait, here's why I believe that there's a possibility that Ballard goes. Because last year, what was the biggest issue that we had on our football team last year?
Offensive line.
100%, right? Offensive line. Now, going into last year, we all thought it was kind of funny that he basically just gave Matt Pryor a job, right? He planned on playing Penner at right guard. It just didn't work out. But he basically gave those two guys a job. You come back from training, you come back this year as well. You've kind of given those jobs again with two players in mind, and you really haven't brought anybody in there to push those guys. Now, you could say Blake Freeland, that's fine, and I do think Ryman's going to be better. If this offensive line does not hold up this year, if this offensive line allows Richardson to be on his back, to get injured, to get hit all season long, I think it's fireable. I do. You know, I don't think that's a knee-jerk reaction. I think it's fireable because you've had multiple years to change your philosophy and to really live by your own words. You've just said competition all along, right? Like that's been what you've talked about this whole time. And now you're really not bringing in a whole lot of competition. You're not pushing those guys. Are you bringing some bodies in? Of course you are. But you're not bringing guys in to come in there and beat out Will Fries. You're bringing guys in there to play behind Will Fries. And there's a big difference in that approach versus what his words say, which is competition, you know, building in the trenches, all of that good stuff. So, you know, I think it's a fair question.
So let me play devil's advocate to it, because I'm going to argue back to you exactly what you've told me, which is I don't think so, because I think his clock got restarted when they drafted Richardson.
Yeah.
Not fully restarted, but they let him hire Steichen. They let him draft Richardson. I think his fate is tied to Anthony's. If AR pans out, Ballard ain't going nowhere. Not anytime soon. Because that means he's found the guy. If true. AR flames out in 2 years, Ballard's gone.
Oh, I
think he is irreparably – he is linked to him.
All of their jobs are tied.
I think he could –
all of them. They're all tied. Yeah. They're all tied to Richardson's success.
Only one that's not is Ursay. Ursay will just roll the dice again.
Yeah, I want to get to a few more questions here before we get off here. As we went over about an hour, and we're getting ready to hop off here in about 5 or 10. Addison says it's embarrassing how poor wide receiver room is compared to the rest of the league. You know, we don't even have 5 receivers. So I mean, Addison, I think it's fair, it's warranted. And for whatever reason, Chris Ballard just doesn't like to spend in free agency. So you've got that. Corey's comments, he doesn't think so. And Flat Bill Ballard, we trust. He thinks he stays
definitely
around.
Got the Flat Bill rocking lately.
Let's see. Nomad had something as a member of Josh Downs fan club. Josh, let's make those big catches. Hey, yeah, Josh Downs is we're fans too, so we'll see what it says.
Here's
Freedom says Ursay is loyal, and you're right. You know, he could be loyal to a fault sometimes, but he did fire Bill Polian. You know, I mean, it's a Hall of Fame guy. So I think everything goes up until a point. When Reggie Wayne was a receiver, he was dynamite. You ain't lying. My favorite player of all time. Let's see. Any more questions that we have? Last thoughts. I'll let you end it. Just last topic, last thoughts. Anything from just all of it. Waiver wire, bringing people in, not bringing people in, Chris Ballard, Taylor. It doesn't matter. You take it away with the last kind of thought before we hop off here.
I'm going to say wait and see. Like that's the lasting statement, right? Like wait and see in regards to what takes place with who's coming in and things like that. The other thing that I'm going to say is Ballard did exactly what we all thought he would. Ballard is amazing when he runs the press conference and he controls it, right?
Yeah.
Also, go back and listen to it because he doesn't. I think the best point anybody makes, Ballard does not lie. He doesn't lie to you. he just tells you things in a way you have to figure out like it's Sudoku, right?
Yeah.
Like he does tell you what he's going to do without really telling you. So go back, listen to what he's saying. And I mean, at the same time, the last thing I'll say is be excited. Football is a week and a half away before we get to see AR play. Don't let all of this other stuff shroud it. That's the main focus of this entire season. We said it from the moment they drafted him on draft night, right? We were live and we said this is it's not about wins or losses this season. It's how you develop him. Yeah. And it's going to be exciting. Like it's going to be it's going to be fun to watch it. Unlike last year where it was just, God love y'all for watching us last year. It's just unbearable. Yeah. And it's not going to be like that.
I agree. Exciting football. There's going to be some moments where you might not say exciting. You might say frustrating. But that being said, it's going to be up and down. It's going to be fun. Get on the roller coaster. If you're going to get on that roller coaster, you're going to get on it with us all season long because we're going to be rocking with you for our third season here. Chad, do I think Irsay's making some personnel calls? Absolutely. Is that insulting Ballard? If he is, I think he definitely meddled a little bit with the Saturday thing, but I do think he let Ballard handle his coaching search. So yes, originally, but no, I don't think he's messing with this right now. However, I don't think he has any allegiance to Ballard necessarily staying if he's not able to perform. So that'd be kind of my spiel. Guys, thank you so much for jumping on this live stream. It was really fun tonight. We went over an hour. We usually stay around 50 minutes, so it's just awesome to see you guys hitting us up with the comments. All of your thoughts, every opinion, interaction has been valued. And if you haven't, for the last time, join this No Horsing Around family. Tap that button, hit the alert, just like Angie mentioned earlier, as well as, stop by and subscribe. Join this family. Like I said earlier, it's the polite thing to do, right? Like it's the polite thing to do to just be a part of this. And I love it, man. I mean, we do. And I think, Steven, we're good on this one, man. This was a fun show. And next week, live stream Wednesday, 9:20. We're going to be talking about Indianapolis Colts, Jacksonville Jaguars, week 1 at Lucas Oil Stadium. Anthony Richardson coming out of the tunnel. Shane Steichen's very first game as a head coach. Will we or will we not win our first season opener as we have in a long time? All of that next week on next week's live stream, 9:20. And guys, thank you so much. Steven, send us out like you always do, brother.
I'm just going to go right to it. It's exciting. Zach said it best. So I'm just going to say, I love you. I know Zach loves you. We always say, like, I don't think JT, I'm not sure where he sits, but Irsay does love you. We're out.